Funny things, motorcycles. A few days ago, I thought I'd made up my mind. My Royal Enfield Classic 650 was up for sale and still is at time of recording. The logic seemed sound. I wasn't riding it as much as I'd expected. Tax was due, insurance was due, and a service was fast approaching. And after taking a couple of financial hits changing bikes over the last year or so, I found myself wondering whether it was time to simplify things. The plan seemed sensible. Sell the 650, buy something smaller, reduce the running costs, stop worrying about depreciation, move on. At least, that's what I thought. The more I analysed it, the more convincing the argument became. Or so I believed. I looked at the numbers. Tax on a smaller bike would be lower. Insurance would be lower. Servicing would be cheaper. And because I wasn't riding as much as I once did, perhaps a simpler, older motorcycle made more sense. The conclusion appeared obvious, until I started checking the details. My insurance renewal arrived just the other day, and instead of the £240 I had expected, the quote came back at just over £100. That immediately, on its own, changed the equation. Then I looked more closely at servicing costs. In a year or two, I could service this Classic 650 myself. Then I looked more closely at depreciation and realised something important. A lot of the financial pain I was feeling wasn't about the future, it was about the past. The losses had already happened. The real question wasn't, what have I lost? The real question was, what makes the most sense from today onwards? And the answer wasn't quite as clear as I thought. Then, something unexpected happened. I went out for a ride, Not to make a decision, not to test the bike, simply to gather some footage for a future video. And somewhere along those Hampshire lanes, and the occasional burst of acceleration, and a quiet stop beside an old church lich gate, I found myself smiling. Not analysing, not comparing, not calculating, just enjoying the ride. And standing there, looking back at my motorcycle, I'd convinced myself I was ready to sell. I found myself asking a different question. Am I actually trying to solve a motorcycle problem? Or am I trying to solve something else entirely? Because the more I've reflected on this over the last few weeks, the more I've realised that the motorcycle may not be the real issue. The bigger questions are these. What role does motorcycling play in this stage of my life? How much riding is enough? And does a motorcycle ever need to justify itself financially? Am I looking for a different bike or simply a different relationship with motorcycling? The truth is, I'm no longer certain that selling the Classic 650 is the right decision, but equally, I'm still not certain that keeping it is. And strangely, that feels like progress, because I'm no longer trying to force an answer. I've gone from desperately searching for certainty to being comfortable with uncertainty. For now, I'm actually happy to keep it. But if it sells, I'll be happy to let it go. That's probably not the dramatic conclusion some people were expecting, or maybe even hoping. But perhaps that's the lesson. Sometimes the answer isn't to change the motorcycle. Sometimes the answer is to understand why you're asking the question in the first place. So, for now, I'll keep riding. I'll keep reflecting. And, as rare as they may be, I'll just keep enjoying moments like this. Because after all the spreadsheets, calculations, insurance quotes, and overthinking, a single ride reminded me why I bought a motorcycle in the first place.